Welcome to another edition of In the Weeds with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Ted, we don't get we've had some first round draft picks on in the past, but
Not a
have we
lot.
ever had a first round Dallas Cowboy on before?
Ooh, I don't I don't think so. Has Roy Williams been on?
Roy Williams has been on, so yes, we've had one.
We've had one. Not an offensive
Howard
lineman.
Howard Richards is number two. What's going on, man? Color analyst for the Missouri Tigers, among many other things. Former first round pick for the Dallas Cowboys. I am so excited that offensive linemen are outnumbering Teddy on this episode, Howard. I'm fired up, man.
2-1. Hey, great to be with you guys, and looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. I don't get a chance to talk to my counterparts that often when I do these podcasts, so this is a little bit special for me. Two former, well, when you guys probably play was the Big 12, but I call it the Big 8, Big 12 rivals, and now SEC rivals.
Yeah,
Uh,
exciting, man. It is weird that we're playing this is a conference SEC game. Not that long ago, that would have been a what in the world type of moment, but it's going to be fun. You think it's going to be a good atmosphere?
Yeah, sellout crowd. I think this will be Missouri's probably eighth or ninth straight sellout. The crowds have been really good at home this year. It'll be a night game, of course, as you know. So folks they'll be into it. You know, with OU coming back, we haven't seen OU in Columbia it's probably been 10, 12 years or so. Um, in fact, it was 2010, I believe it was.
yeah,
Uh,
we were #1 in the country and went there and got beat.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember it well, Howard.
Yeah, there will be. In fact, I know for a fact that John McGaffey, who ran back the opening kickoff, he and his mother are going to be there, just for moral support. There will be a lot of former players back for this game, simply because it means so much. I know Joe Castiglione, your AD, will be in the house, and I had some time with Joe when he was at Mizzou before, when I was a student athlete. So I know Joe really well. I'm hoping President Harris is there too. I've known him through my other life when I worked at CIA. He's really good friends with former CIA Director George Tenet. So hoping to see him as well.
I'm sure they will both be there. There's no doubt in my mind. They wouldn't miss a trip to Columbia. Now, let's talk about this football team. It's interesting. 6-2, but the two big games, right? The one against Bama, the one against A&M, both didn't go well. What's the
They're
mood?
horribly wrong. That's more like it. You're being kind.
They went very poorly. What's the mood around this program right now, Howard?
The way this team looks at it is that, look, it's another opportunity. And Gary Pinkel famously said that those teams, those who win in November, will be remembered. Obviously, this is the first game in the start of November for Mizzou. And if it can somehow reel off four straight and finish the season with 10 wins, no one knows how this whole playoff situation is going to unfold, right? Even though, Mizzou's the first college football rankings came out today, Mizzou's 24th on the list. I think if you're looking at it right now, you're looking at it, they've got no chance. But A lot of football, a lot of upsets can happen between now and the end of November. But for Missouri to have a chance, it's got to control its own destiny. It's got to win four straight. And can they do it? They can. They've got to play better, especially offensively. No one knows the situation with quarterback Brady Cook, how healthy he is, if he'll play Saturday against OU. It hasn't been announced yet, but if I had to bet, I'd bet that he'll find a way to be on the field at some point. He's that gutsy kind of kid, man, and all he's ever wanted to do was be the quarterback for the University of Missouri Football Tigers. And unless he's strapped to a gurney, he's probably going to try to give it a go.
Well, last year, the rushing attack was really, really good. Led the SEC. Um, uh, Statistically, it has been okay so far this year, and maybe that's against some lesser opponents, but it feels like maybe the offense just hasn't clicked the same without being able to run the football like they did a year ago.
And here's the thing, and I don't know that the offense can't run the football like it did a year ago. In my opinion, it really hasn't tried to run the football like it did a year ago. I thought that Missouri is playing against Oklahoma, especially, would try to come out and establish the run. The passing game, this team was really thought to have had one of the most prolific passing attacks coming into the season. Unfortunately, it just hasn't been that way. The explosive plays just haven't been there enough times thus this season. And I thought the running game is something that, it does well. It's an outside zone team. They run that play extremely well. They were able to run the ball against Alabama. I think they finished with about 160, 170 yards, somewhere in that ballpark. But to me, just didn't use the running game as a way to control the clock and to keep the ball out of the hands of Jalen Milroe. Going forward, let's see if this is something that they do. Establish the run, really become dominant in that area and allow the run game to open up the passing game for you. I think they've maybe relied on the talent of the passing game and the talented receivers that they have to really dictate what they wanted to do on offense. But again, without those consistent splash plays, those chunk plays, they found themselves in a lot of, seconds and thirds and long situations. And I think they need to come out better, control the ball on first down and on the early downs, especially, and find themselves in a lot more, seconds, thirds, and shorts. Give themselves more diverse opportunities on second down, third down.
Looking at the offensive line for the Tigers, Howard, what has your evaluation been of this group? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Like what's really stood out to you, good or bad, about Missouri's O line?
They've had their moments. I think the fact that you've got two new starters on the left side, that their cohesion hasn't been where I think it should be, as compared to what we had on the left side last year. Still time for that to improve, although your season is two-thirds of the way over. This is an important stretch for this team. I think they've got to be able to find a way to be a more cohesive unit. I don't know who ultimately is going to start at left guard, whether it's the former OU transfer, Caden Green. If he still starts, he was kind of banged up against Alabama. And they brought in Mitchell Walters, who can play multiple positions. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Walters at left guard. But that remains to be seen. Walters can play multiple positions. I think unity, again, being cohesive as a unit is when they're playing at their best. They've missed, some blocking some stunts up front, and those are things that have to be better as well. I do believe they really do need to kind of get back to their outside zone running game. I think that's what their bread and butter really is, and I think they're better when they're running the football more times than they are passing it.
Luther Burden, huge year last year. He's only gone over 100 yards the one time this year, but they're still finding ways to target him. And Theo Weiss obviously having a good season as well for them. Number one, how do you think they get those guys going? And additionally, like if Cook can't go and it's Pine, how much different will the offense look?
Well, in my opinion, if it is Pine, I think just going back to what I was saying earlier, I think you've got to establish a rhythm with running the football. Allow Drew Pine to get comfortable throwing the football. When he's in there, he's got to be able to see the field better. He's got to make quicker decisions. I think Missouri's best shot is to come out throwing a lot of quick balls if they're going to throw it, run some tempo, just to get the offense sort of warmed up and in rhythm. That's when they seem to play their best, when they can get off to a fast start. Sometimes this team is a notoriously fast or slow starting team, and they haven't played well coming off buys either. So those might be things for all of us to look at uh, come kickoff time, come 6:45 on Saturday. But it's Missouri's. I think it's in their own backyard, and if they want to win, if they want to still make a splash in the standings this season and possibly on the playoff scene, it's going to start with playing better. Certainly on offense. Its defense, I think, started the game against Alabama really well. It only given up 13 points against Bama. Missouri only gave up one sack, I think, offensively, and had two sacks itself early on. Johnny Walker Jr. coming off the edge is a guy that uh, if he senses blood from an offensive tackle that he's facing, he's going to try to exploit that early and often. So and much like Danny Stutzman, Missouri's got to figure out a way to block Danny Stutzman. You can't allow him to hurt you. Whether in the running game or the passing game, you got to have hats on him at all times. So those key points, Missouri's offensive line, the quarterback position, and how Missouri's offense, I think, is able to control Stutzman and not allow him to hurt them will be the keys to the game for me.
Howard, definitely want to talk about the Tigers defense with you. But first,
Oh, you tailgaters, listen up. We are now officially in the premium conference of college football, and you expect a premium product on the field and on the grill. That's why you need Didier Ranch's steak burgers to take your tailgate to the next level. Proudly raised in Oklahoma for over 120 years, premium beef this good is hard to come by. Go to DidierRanch.com. That's DIDIER ranch.com. Use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Didier Ranch. Tradition plays better and tastes better.
you mentioned Johnny Walker. I like Zion Young. I like Eddie Kelly, McClellan and Williams on the inside. I think the defensive line is really solid. Howard, do you view that as the strength of this defense?
Yeah, I do. Especially when they are playing, using their hands and getting off blocks early on. If they come out and establish themselves, using that extension and not allowing offensive linemen to get into their bodies, if they're getting into those alleys, then it's going to be a good day for that defensive line. If they're able to really control, what teams want to do as far as running the football, then they're going to have a good day. Both Walker and Zion Young are good off the edges, really good pass rushers. And they've got depth along the defensive line as well. You mentioned Eddie Kelly. This is his first year. He's been really solid. Also, Ja'Kai Lang is another one that they'll bring in from the edge rushing position. But keep your eyes on outside of starters, McClellan and Christian Williams. Keep your eyes on Jalen Marshall and Sterling Webb at the defensive tackle positions. Both really like big cogs in the middle, really get after it. And if either the two starters, Williams or McClellan, don't start or couldn't start, uh, uh, certainly Webb and Ja'Kai Lang or excuse me, Marshall and Webb or outstanding replacements in the rotation. They also bring in Marquise Graciel. When they'll play a five-man front, you'll see Graciel, who wears number 33, line up over center when they're really trying to focus on shutting down the run and in some short yardage situations. And if they want to get their edge guys, if they can tie up the interior linemen and get their edge guys free in one-on-one situations, they'll do that as well to try to get pressure on the quarterback.
How about the back end? I know for us, that's something we're going to be watching. We've really struggled in the passing game this year. I guess you could say our offense has struggled all over, but what do the matchups on the back end look like?
Um, Toriano Pride and Drayden Norwood, replaced two corners that went to the NFL last year in um, Enrique Straw and Chris Abrams-Drain. They were really solid players at corner for Missouri. But these guys also, and Nicholas DeLoach is another one who will come in at corner. Marcus Clark is in the rotation at corner as well. I think the real strength is the safeties though. Dalen Carnell, Marvin Burks, and Joseph Charleston. You'll find those guys sort of in the box a lot to really try to shut down the run, but they do well in the passing game also. Um, Defensively, I'd say along with the defensive line being a strength, the secondary is also a strength, but they've got some good linebackers that are, can fly around. Corey Flagg and Chuck Hicks, um, as well as Tristan Newsome and Nick Rodriguez when he's in the game. Also, he's got a high gear, and they just love to make plays. So really athletic on that end or on that side of the football, and play very hungry. And if they're fresh, they play even stronger. So we always love for Missouri's offense to uh, really spend time controlling the football, eating up clock, because we feel that our defense, when they're fresh, they're at their best.
Is there anything you felt that this defense has really struggled with this season? Like, is there any type of weakness, like something that you think they consistently have had issues with?
Yeah, a couple of areas. Oftentimes when they're playing zone in the passing game, I don't think that they really collapse around the receivers as fast. I think sometimes they give up a little too much cushion when they're playing zone. I also think that sometimes they kind of go to sleep when there's edge runs. Regardless of whose responsibility is, whether it's a defensive end or whether it's a safety or a linebacker that's supposed to scrape and get out there, they often get out there late. If they can do those things consistently in the running game, and of course, converging on receivers or challenging throws downfield better, then that's when they're playing at their best. I've seen them do it. They have the ability to do it. They just need to do it more consistently. And if Missouri can do that the rest of the way, that's a team that could end up as a top 10, top 15 defense. They have the talent to do that. It's just being able to be on the same page, for, 50, 60, 70 plays a game and doing so.
All right. I just want to know how you think it's going to unfold. How do you forecast this thing? What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
Um, Listen, if Brady Cook plays and plays well, I think Missouri has a really good chance of winning this game. If Brady can't go, then I think it's going to be a toss-up as to who wins. But a lot's going to depend on even if it's Pine, if you can get into a rhythm and don't turn the football over that increases Missouri's chances. They haven't had a lot of turnovers this season, um, and that's been something that has kind of helped them, thus far.
Must be
Uh,
nice.
yeah, I know, I know, I know how you guys feel. Other than the three interceptions that Pine threw against Alabama, Brady had only thrown one interception thus far this season. So that was an improvement in his game. But yeah, offensively, Missouri's got to be better. If Missouri's offense is cooking, I think it finds a way to win this game. If the offense struggles, that great old Oklahoma defense may have a field day.
I've got one last question for you, and it's simply an O line question. I'm interested in who you think the best O lineman you've watched this season is. Just because you've seen Bama, you've seen A&M. I'm just interested in if there's anyone that's really stood out to you, kind of above everyone else.
Well, I haven't really watched it so much from that perspective. I can tell you, Georgia's got a bunch of good ones over there. Even Texas has some good ones. Um, I haven't seen you guys that much. I'm just starting my film study this week. I did see part of your Auburn game. Saw one of the earlier non-conference games as well. Um, I think that the kid that plays center at Alabama, wears number 72, can't think of his name, transferred in
Kid from
from
Washington.
yeah, yeah. He's had a pretty good season. They've struggled with their offensive tackles. And until I see the rest of the league, it's just kind of hard to say. Um, Ask me that question at the end of the season.
I will. I will text you and say, Howard, I need to know. I need to know the answer now. We really appreciate it, man. Hopefully, we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll look for you guys. No doubt. It should be a good atmosphere. I think it'll be fun. I'm sure it's been a while since you guys have been in Columbia, but it hasn't changed.
2002 for me.
2002, yeah.
Yep.
Well, you'll see that
2010.
2010, yeah. You'll see a lot of changes around Faurot Field and the stadium. They've built up on the south end zone. That's where the football facility is on the indoor, and they have just begun um, a lot of new construction on the north end on the north concourse by the where the Rock M is. So it's going to be a brand new facade, new suites and everything. By the time you guys come back, whatever that might be, 2026, it'll be a lot different. So, and we've added on the east side, there are new suites above the top section. So it's a lot different. It's starting to look more like a lot of the SEC stadiums. We've spent a lot of money and still have more money to spend. So it'll be a fun atmosphere regardless. It'll be loud. And it'll be extremely loud, especially with two longtime rivals. This is what, the 97th meeting between Oklahoma and Mizzou.
Yep.
Uh, I'm still a little pissed that OU never offered me a scholarship. So I had a lot of friends, man, during that time that I played on that team, guys that I played against, and still have a lot of respect for.
Too bad the
So
portal wasn't there at the time, man.
I
You could
know.
have played in the portal.
Could have
No,
hopped in, man. That would have been. I. I just. I vividly remember two things about Missouri. Number one, it's the worst visitor locker room I've ever seen, and then which
It's
no
good.
judgment here. And then number two, in 2010, when they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, they drove a fire truck around the field.
the yellow fire truck, right?
And I just
Still
remember
there.
going, and they were spraying water into the stands. I was like, what the hell is going on here? I knew we were in for a long night at that point.
The fire truck is still there. I don't know what'll happen on special teams, but I do believe that locker room has been improved a little bit more. But just for the sake of history and nostalgia, that used to be the home locker room for us when I played in the 70s. So I know what you're talking about. It is vastly improved though.
Nice. Well, Howard, you're the man. We appreciate the time, buddy.
No doubt. I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday.